Hi everyone, it's Wendy. I've got these lovely, oh excuse that, I kicked the bucket there under my desk. I've got these lovely journals to show you today. They're more folio notebooks than journals, because I've been making a few to give to the charity, the Helping Hands, that helps underprivileged people with food and bedding and everything household. Anyway, I'm waffling on. This is a folio, Flippy sort of thing. This one is using papers from Rachel Bella Crafts, excuse me. And these are the collaboration kits that she has made. The second one, Echoes of Nature, and it's just absolutely beautiful. But what I like about these is they are flippies on the front and the back. So both the front cover flips out and the back cover flips out. And in between we've got two large pockets with a large tall tag. The rest is just notebook paper and just a couple of pockets, book pages, vellum, all different sorts of paper. And I've just put a pocket on one. They're all very similar, but it's the flippy thing that I liked the best and which I wanted to do. So we've got belly bands with an envelope under each one there, and they all just fold in. So it just makes a nice little notebook, and I thought the charity could either sell them, because they do an online site for selling, and that will raise them a bit of money, or they can use them as raffle prizes. And I will put a sheet in English and in Spanish that tells you what is a junk journal, you know, what is it used for, etc., for people that don't know. So that is one. This one is from a kit called Secret Garden by Lolly's Printables. All the links will be down below. Now this isn't a flippy, it's just a notebook, and the papers are just beautiful. Very sort of pastel blues and peaches. Aren't they just lovely? There's a piece of tracing paper in there. Trying to use some of my stash of papers that I've got. A pocket in, a little belly band, not a belly band, a hidden paper clip there with an envelope, bit of stitched paper for the page edge. So that's another one. So that's number 2. And then we have got number 3, which again is by Rachel Bella Crafts. This is the front. I've put a little dangle on the twine, so that's the middle. I've put a few concertina books in the middle of that one. And like I say, all very similar papers I've used. And a flippy with a little envelope with some spare ephemera in, and a couple of pockets there. And this is another little notebook, a tiny wee notebook with a little belly band that sits in the pocket. But the purpose of this video really was to get the basis of the flip and the pockets, because you obviously, most of you know how to actually stitch a signature in. And that's the back flip with a belly band. Lovely papers again. I think these are from Rachel's Spring Collage kit, and that's just one of my envelopes with some ephemera in and a belly band. So I'll get my bits together, and I've put a little pocket on the front there with a little envelope with some ephemera in from my own stash. Just trying to make it interesting, because if it's given to a teenage girl, you know, she could use it as a diary or putting photographs in, memories, stuff like that. So I'll get my stuff together and we'll get started. Okay, for this we will need, I must move this bucket under my desk that I put my scrap paper in. Well, not scrap paper, it's waste paper that goes into the recycling bag. Right, 3 pieces of A4. I'm using craft card. It's a reasonable weight, maybe about 160 GSM. And I need my scoreboard. And on my score pal, I have a halfway mark. So usually A4 paper is about just under 30 centimetres. So you need to score them all in half. And I tend to turn, excuse me, turn mine over and score on both sides. And then burnish. Just pressing it up to the edges and up the side, then to get a good burnish. And do the same with all 3 pieces. We will have to trim 2 of them down just by 1 centimetre. That's then it doesn't interfere with the fold process. So I'm just getting that pressed up to the sides and the top. And the last piece. You've probably all made similar to these before. And the papers I'm going to be using for this book is from Lolly's Printables. You have seen it before because I have used it. It's Be My Honey kit. And I just love bees. So that's why I'm using it again. I have the signature ready here. I printed some of the paper onto printable vellum, which looks quite nice. So I put a sheet of that in, or a couple of sheets, and the rest is the papers. I've printed them double-sided, put them in the printer again and printed them on the other side. I might find a couple of book pages to put in there, but that's a reasonable size signature at the moment. So what we need to do is the first piece lays out flat, crease in the middle, and then you get one of your pieces, and we're going to glue that 3 sides. But first, before we start any gluing, I'm going to put my papers on that I'm going to stick down. So what I've done, I've printed some of the kit onto, I think it's 100 GSM paper. So I'm going to trim all these down and cut them to size. So I'll get that done and I'll be back in a sec. Right, I've trimmed my papers down. I've just cut the white edges off really. So I'm going to do, the height works out correct. We'll just have a little bit of the craft card showing, which is what I want. So what we need to do is do the sort of layout. So you've got your flat piece with the fold in the middle. You're going to lay one there and glue it on 3 sides. Leave the top open for the pocket and put the other one and glue it down the same. Then this is going to be your flip, and you flip that way. Excuse my bit of cotton there. So that it's going to open up that way, and your signature is going to be sewn in to here. So what I'm going to do is measure these. So you want to go in a wee bit. Let me just get rid of the base one, then you can see against the white paper. So I'm going in and I'm going to do it at about 14¼ centimetres. The height is okay because I've cut my white borders off. This one is about the same, 14¼ So I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 at 14¼ width. So I'll get on and cut those, then measure the backs. The backs should be the same. Oh no, I've just told you that wrong, sorry. That gets glued, that piece gets glued. Now this flip is the one we need to just trim about 1 centimetre off this edge, and the same on this one, so that it doesn't impede when the signature's in. So I'm just going to trim those on my guillotine here, just about 1 centimetre. So obviously that width is going to be even less now. it's going to be about 13. So I'm going to trim 1 centimetre off the front one as well. So that's going to go like that. And that is going to be 13. So I'm just going to trim all my papers and get gluing some of them on, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and I will admit to a little bit of a mistake. I glued one of my papers on the wrong way. That was my base piece, and I didn't need to put any papers on there, but I got them out of sequence, so I've ended up with a piece of paper that's going to be a pocket, so you're not going to see it. So, but it doesn't matter, we're still there. So I've got the Flippy for the back and the front, well, inside cover, and then we've got to decide on papers for the very front and the very back. So there is one here that's got writing on, but I'm going to put a piece of material on the spine, so that's going to cover part of that writing. So I could actually have that on the back, because that's going to be the flip out, and you're going to see that. So bear with me while I go and print some more papers. Right, I found a sheet that was from the title sheet, and one is Be My Honey, so that's going to be the front, and the other half of it is going to be the back. So all I do, like I've glued the insides, is I just use a Yoo-hoo stick. I find Yoo-hoo and Pritt stick are probably the most secure. And then I use some wet glue. Now this is the one I had trouble with. It gets lumps in, so I put it back in the original bottle because the hole is bigger in this, and at the moment I'm not getting any clumps in it. So this is the back. I'm just getting an even piece of craft card down the side. This side I'm not too bothered about because it's going to be covered by material. So that's the back, and this one is going to be the front, wherever I've put it. Where on earth have I? Oh, I couldn't see it for looking. So that's going to be the front. So I'll do the same here. Oh, honestly, it's so sweaty and sticky here today as I'm filming this. We've had quite a lot of rain the last few days, and we had some sharp winds yesterday, and I thought it had cleared the air, but maybe it's just me having a bit of a hot flush. So I'm just putting wet glue right round the sides and a few squiggles in the middle, and flip it over, and this is going to be the front, like so. Doesn't matter if any glue oozes out, it'll all be wiped up with this tissue. So that is all the gluing of the papers. So this is going to be the front. You're going to open the first cover, and that's going to flip out, and like so. So what we need to do now is cut two little divot things for the pockets. So I'm using my, I think this is a 1.5 inch punch, and it might be a wee bit difficult because the glue is still a bit damp. Bear with me. And this one, you can measure if you want to make sure it gets right in the middle, but bear with me. There we go. Put those in my waste bucket under my desk, the one I keep kicking. So that is going to be glued 3 sides, and that is going to be glued 3 sides. And to do that, I'm going to use 3-in-1 because I want quite a strong glue. So it's 3 sides See, I put paper on that one as well and I didn't need to. I knew I only needed 4 pieces and I've done the same there. How stupid am I? Very stupid, I would say. See, I didn't need to put any papers on those, so I've wasted 3 pieces of paper there. Not concentrating, am I? So let's glue this down. I don't mind the smell of this 3-in-1 glue because it's sort of acetone based. I'm okay with it. So turn that over. I still don't think I've got this the right way. Yeah, that must be it. Oh, well, it's going to be as it is at the moment. It's probably, each one of these seems to be turning out different. What you're doing when you're gluing it down, you have to make sure it doesn't hinder this fold. Like so. Give it a good press down. And the same here. Glue on 3 sides. I'm annoyed at myself now for wasting these gorgeous papers. Probably not paying enough attention what I'm doing. Stuff on my mind and all that as it goes. Right, glue those down. Make sure you're not hindering the turn, the spine. Top and bottom even. Oh, getting glue everywhere and on my string. So that's, yeah, that's it. And that's it. So they need to be left to dry for a while. But while I've got, just fold that over because it's getting a bit sticky. Turned upside, wrong way out now, and I'm just going to glue this material onto the spine. And again, I'm using the 3-in-1 for that. That's then, when I sew the signature in, it just gives it a wee bit of strength, wee bit more strength. Try and get that in the middle. Get glue all down. And make sure it gets right up to the edges of the material. Like so. I'm just going to let that dry before I bend it in. And I can cut the excess off as well here. So keep that as it is for now. And we'll come back ready to start making the tags for the top, the 2 pockets, and decide whether we're putting pockets or belly bands in there. So I'm just going to leave that to dry and I'll be back. Okay, I'm now ready to sew the signature in. I've got it all ready. I've put a few extra pieces of paper in, book pages. So I've got it ready there. I've got my folder ready. That's all nicely glued down. I've just rounded the corners very slightly with the smallest of the corner rounder punch there. So all I need to do on the cover is just chop this piece of fabric off. I've just got a pair of pinking shears here. Now I'm going to leave it a bit over the edge. Just like so. I don't mind if it frays off a little bit. Keep that little scrap. And I've got my needle ready with, it's actually crochet cotton. It's very strong. So I've got my template and I've got my awl. So I'm going to punch my holes in this one first. So I'm getting the template even, bit sticking out at the bottom and the top, and get the holes punched in that ready. Just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. and that goes right through the spine and the fabric. So those holes are in. Now to do the signature, which is the bit more harder work. Now I'm doing the same here, getting the same distance top and bottom, and this will take a wee bit more of a working through. Now the center hole, I'm just going to put my needle through, ready, just to hold that while I do the other two holes. That one's through, and the last one, nearly there. Right, pull that through and through this middle hole in the outer cover, making sure I've got everything the correct way up. Yeah, I'm sure you've all done it, sewn your signature in upside down. I know I have. Right, take the template off. Oh, getting a little knot there. Get rid of that. Right, so let me just tuck that piece in out of the way. So out, in through there, and find the hole in the notebook. Hold on to your center piece of thread and out that one and in through the center one again. This is always the trickiest one. Oh, yeah, make sure one piece of twine is each side of the center piece. Right, I'm going to take my needle off. Put that away safely, then it doesn't get lost. And pull tight. Make sure there's nothing. Now that has just caught in one of the threads going through the other piece of twine. So I'm just pulling that out. Right, now one of the pieces has come to the other side, so there we go. Get it tight. Yeah, got a good tension on that. And tie a knot and another knot. Now I'm just going to leave these hanging for now because I might put a dangle on those to use as a bookmark. So that is stitched in now. And those two little pieces just for a bit of extra interest. Now I've got two somewhere. Here they are. I've just made two tall tags. I've just got to finish this one off. And they're just made out of a piece of card. I've got lengths of these and they're 4 inches wide. And then I punched a tab with my trusty punch just to stick on the top here. And then I'm going to put a grommet in and put a dangle on. I like putting dangles that hang off the side of the page or out the top. I just think they add a little bit of extra interest. I don't actually think I'll put these in this journal when I do give it away. I'll make some that with leftover papers, but what I'm doing is just showing you how I make them. So they would slot in the pocket there and at this side, like so. But what I am going to do is just show you the belly band. Now I've got this roll of snippets, etc., all just, you know, roll of bits of book pages and material, so it's all sort of yellows, which goes with the theme of the book. So I'm just going to cut one piece to go along there, and unfortunately that would cut the rabbit's head off, so I might cut it there. Yes, because I don't mind that. That could be like a pocket or a corner snip. Let's just get that cut. I just didn't want to cut the rabbit's head off, so I'm just going to cut this just under this label. Like so. And then the length is just going to be below that butterfly. I could just glue that onto a corner of a page, which I shall do in a minute. So let's just get some glue on that. Using the 3-in-1 again. And there. Like so. That had been rolled up, so it's just tending to curl up a little bit at the top, so I'm just holding it for a minute until the glue takes good. So that'll be a belly band, and we'll pop an envelope in there like so, and we'll use another piece on this side. It's just deciding which I'm going to use. Yeah, I'm going to use it there. So I'm just going to cut it just under that lemon. So I've got that left to use on another project. And put some glue on this one. Right, where's the top for this? Oops, it's falling off. And glue that one on. Just hangs down a little bit. I may just have to trim a little bit of that off. But it's fine for now. Now this piece that was cut off, because it's got a nice little butterfly on, I'm just going to need a clip on that one. It's just wasn't sticking because of the curl in the paper. Right, this little snip that I cut off will just stick onto one of the pages in the corner. Just on 3 sides, then you can use it as a little pocket. And that really is it. I just wanted to show you the basic of the fold to get the little folio. And that could be used as a little pocket under there. So I'm quite happy with that. I just love these papers. I'll probably embellish it a bit more, but like I say, it's just the basic fold I wanted to show you, like so. and then that could just be tied together with a piece of ribbon as a closure, and I'll put a little dangle on there. So I hope you've enjoyed that little tutorial as such, even my mistakes as well. There always can be covered up, so never fear. Okay, I'd love you to click the subscribe button, and I shall see you next time. Bye.